There is a lot of pictures that have been online, and a lot of people are wondering if Jimin will have a reaction to those shipping type of pictures. We also have some screenshots, some shirtless moments trending, and what that is about. And then we have the label speaking out and confirming everything that happened the night before with the police precinct. So dumplings is saved aside, let's get into it. If you're unaware of what happened at the police office, there was a lot of stuff that unfolded. Suga was recently believed to have a police questioning at the office, and a lot of reporters were trying to get to the precinct to see what would happen, and they would show up so they could interview him. Also, this would be an opportunity where they would get to publicly see him, so this is like a way to trap him, I suppose, and force him to answer. It's interesting to do this, to say the least, and a lot of people felt like it was very much unethical, especially given how many journalists were outside. However, the rules of ethics, I think, don't necessarily transcend culture and geographic location, so while in America this would be considered unethical, over there it might not be. As well as the laws over there are probably different. In America, I would think this would constitute as stalking. Now, the journalists were waiting for hours and it started to rain, so obviously they couldn't stay there anymore, and they tried to confirm with the label as well as confirm with the police office if Suga was coming. Now, the police office, I believe, I remember them saying that they denied it. They said, he's not coming, no one's coming, and I don't know why you guys are out here. As far as the label, it makes sense as to why they wouldn't confirm it, because anything that would be reported from the police office would be negative press. Why on earth would they want these journalists to know exactly when Suga would be there? Now, a lot of these journalists are coming out to say that the label gave them misinformation or whatever it was, but you can't really expect that the label would give you this information. Not saying they purposely gave misinformation, but they just might not want to give this information. The article, any article that is written about Suga at this point coming from a police office would be negative. There's no positive outcome of this. The label has then issued a statement to basically say that they never released any information. There was never misinformation. There was never any of that stuff. There just simply wasn't any information. And they even added a line to say that they let the reporters know when the reporters had arrived at the office that there was not going to be an appearance, and telling them to go home. But none of them went home because I guess they're thinking that the label would have lied about that. Now, if you don't have trust in where you're getting the information from, and then you don't have trust of the person or company that is telling you to go home, then it's not information that you should be getting. There was never any trust. It was always going to be them just taking a huge risk. Apparently some sort of rainstorm, so the reporters had to leave. They couldn't stay there because their camera gear would break, and that is essentially when they went home. Don't you love it when the weather is on Suga's side too? People were then praising the label for this because they were saying that this obviously wasn't their fault. It wasn't anyone's fault from the label or the artist's side, and this was completely something that was made up by these journalists. Now, I usually like to stand in the middle, and typically I like to give more backstory, and I typically don't like to judge too much. But I personally see this as just karma. I see this as reporters trying to actively hurt someone, trying to be in front of someone who is obviously hurting, who is obviously not excited to be at the police office, but trying to get in front of that person anyway, and then expecting that the universe wasn't going to be like, no, this is too much, stop. There are absolutely lines that journalists cannot cross. And I think that this more than exceeds that line, because showing up to a police office trying to act like this is a fashion show or whatever, or is just not appropriate. However, people will do whatever they do. You cannot expect them to stop, but I can be kind of unhappy about this, or at least until new information comes out. And there's always new content and crazy things coming out. Recently, we have been getting a lot more shirtless pictures from Are You Sure? This is Jimin and JK's reality show, if you're unaware. And this reality show shows a lot more intimate moments and private moments that you normally wouldn't get to see. The reality show consists of the two members traveling, and we get to see them playing games, trying out new pools, exploring new houses or hotels or whatever, and just having a great time doing that. We got to see a shot where JK came out of the bathroom and he was wearing just pants, but you can see him completely shirtless now. We think that the company has primed the audience into seeing the boys shirtless at this point because JK has done the Calvin Klein shoot. All the boys have posted pictures of them shirtless at one point, and it slowly introduces that into the community where at this point it shouldn't be as big of a deal. However, the community will act like how they normally act, and they consider this a big deal. And people will even go as far as to say that when they see the boys shirtless, it's the same as seeing them completely naked. And it is odd, I will agree with that. It's odd to see K-pop stars shirtless. It feels almost more naked than if it was a Western celebrity being shirtless. There was another moment in which we saw Jimin and JK in a pool, and this was very interesting because the pool was see-through. It wasn't see-through all around, it was just see-through where the camera could peer in, which was very interesting to me. I don't know if they purposely got a pool like that just so that they could record the boys shirtless underwater. And this was pointed out the moment they went into the water. They were like, oh my god, it's see-through. You can see everything through the glass there. And they took advantage of this. They decided to create something they thought was very funny. They ended up doing that very famous painting that Michelangelo painted, The Creation of Adam. That's what the painting is called. And I don't know how much of the painting is okay to show because one of them is actually naked, but anyway, they did that underwater and it was very cute and it was very funny. They tried to touch their fingers and people just thought it was absolutely hilarious. This was a screenshot that was then taken and it started trending everywhere. It checks all the boxes to go viral within the BTS community. 1, the boys are shirtless. 2, they're being quirky, cute, and funny. And if you want to see more cute and quirky moments, then make sure you check out the Patreon. I react to a bunch of funny moments as well as music videos over there. You can get access to all the over 3,000 videos over there for just $1.95 per month, and I add videos there daily, so you'll never get bored. Right now there's limited spots, so if you want to join, make sure you check it out at the top of the description. Anyway, there's always so many moments from this show that are being talked about, and I think it's very interesting. One of those moments that I thought was very interesting was a moment in which we got to see the boys kind of cuddle and be cute with each other. There's almost countless moments where we see them huddling or cuddling with each other. And then there have been scenes in which we see the boys kind of appearing like they're kissing each other, and this has made a lot of people think that they are actually in a relationship together. Because if you take these moments out of context with the relationship that they normally have, it does kind of look like they are romantically involved. The cameras are facing weird angles, and so it could look like kissing, it could look like something romantic, and we've talked about moments of them being in the same bed together. Probably just more something to save space and make it easier for both of them to be recorded at the same time. Now, there have been some things that I think are much more interesting to talk about. Jimin has been pretty open about how he chooses to address specific things, and he has addressed how he feels about each of the members. He has nicknames for each of the members, including ones that are older and ones that are younger, like JK, and he calls JK with an IE at the end of the name. It's supposed to be like a cute thing, like if you add IE to a name, it's supposed to sound very cute. A lot of people think that it might be a romantic thing, and there's just been so many theories. However, if you go into more Korean culture and that sort of stuff, you start to kind of unravel what that means and what the nature of that nickname means. So, for example, in JK's case, what Jimin calls, this is supposed to mean someone who is younger, and specifically someone who is younger in a family context. So this is supposed to mean that Jimin sees JK as a younger brother. And so actually when you look at a lot of these cuddling pictures, it's actually Jimin holding JK as opposed to the other way around. Because the other way, I think most people would think that it makes more sense, since JK is more muscular and bigger, that he would probably be the big spoon. But it's not about that, it's about age and the context of age. Jimin is older, and it's quite normal and natural for an older brother to embrace their younger brother. And Jimin has talked about how he sees JK as a younger brother too, because Jimin's younger brother is around the same age as JK. So this is all stuff that you need to keep in mind, and I say this not as a way to impede on a fantasy or anything like that. I'm just simply trying to say this as an alternative reality that you have to consider and think about, because a lot of these people who are seeing it as just a fantasy and that JK and Jimin are definitely dating are sometimes the ones who are causing a lot of issues in the community, sometimes causing the boys to get some backlash. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thanks to a lovely comment right here. Love you, bye.